I think joining us now, and David Gartenstein-Ross, I believe, is with us. Can you hear me, David?
I sure can.
Hey, David. I have and by the way, David is a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. David, what do you make of the trial of Abu Ghaith in Manhattan?
Well, a few things. First of all, I agree with Jason's comments, and I didn't hear all of them, but I caught the gist at the very end. I do have to apologize for coming in a little bit late in this conversation. I've had a computer meltdown with a new computer.
Don't worry about it.
Any I've experienced. But I agree with his comments that there's no reason to send him to Gitmo. I think that there should always be a preference for trying a terrorist suspect in civilian court, if that's a viable option, and I believe that it certainly is here. Now, as to trying him in Manhattan, I'm a little bit skeptical of the venue itself. When the KSM trial was something being bandied about before the Obama administration backed down on that, one thing that they talked about was not trying KSM in Manhattan, but rather trying him in civilian court in upstate New York,
right,
which to me seems like it's a little bit less disruptive, probably not as expensive. But that's a little bit beside the point, because that's not the current debate right now. The current debate is about Gitmo versus civilian trial.
And what do you make of the remarks then of Lindsey Graham today and Congressman Mike Rogers, who are calling for him to be sent to Gitmo for interrogation purposes, as Jason pointed out?
Well, first of all, they don't know that there's more information that needs to be extracted. Really, they're not in the best position to make that determination. I think that the administration is in the best position. Now, it could be that the administration is wrong, but I certainly don't have confidence in the senators that the administration has misjudged the intelligence that it has. The second thing is that if he's sent to Gitmo, it's going to be a public relations scandal. I think that a lot about Gitmo these days, not at the beginning, is not as bad as it's made out to be publicly. But that being said, we have to acknowledge that it's a major, major PR disaster for us. I think there's been improvements, but if we start sending people to Gitmo in situations like this, it's going to be very controversial. In many ways, it will serve as a rallying cry for Abu Ghaith. So I think that we need to be very cautious about where we use it. And to me, I do think preventive detention is something that the U.S. should be willing to do, but only really in circumstances where you're taking in a volume of individuals that you can't process through federal court, number one. And number two, in situations really where the reason to hold them is something other than the fact that they've committed a crime. In other words, if the concern is someone returning to the battlefield, then I think that preventive detention, holding people in a place like Gitmo, is acceptable. But in the case of Abu Ghaith, whether one agrees with my framework or not, that framework doesn't really apply here, because it seems like, number one, the concern is not preventive detention. He's being charged with a crime. And number two, the administration certainly believes that it has the evidence to be able to convict him.
And just real quick before we go, Jason, do we have any idea when this trial may actually happen?
No date at all yet, and the prosecution hasn't indicated when they would start it, but they did say that it would likely take about 3 weeks for them to present their case. So it's clear with David, as David noted, that I think they're obviously very confident. And by the way, just one quick note is that the prosecutors indicated that Abu Ghaith gave a 22-page statement of facts. So we don't know what that contains, but clearly it's some sort of intelligence that, the government is relying upon.
All right, David, Jason, thank you guys both so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll continue to check back in with you about this as it develops. Thanks a lot.
Same to you. Thank you.
All right, guys.